Okay, so today we're going to talk about Anna's fancy fold things and where they've come from and how to use your Cricut machine to make them work for you. So probably everybody's familiar with these that Anna recently released a lot of these, the fancy fold ones. And I have these, I've used them. And the problem with these, there's a couple. So this one I cut in a 12-inch strip, is if you compare the type of emboss that you get from, I have a maker. So if you have a maker, your score lines are going to be finer and deeper than if you have one of the previous models, like an Explorer. But they'll still work. And the thing about it is that they'll be more accurate than using these folders, because if you look at this, you've got to put this in here at the exact right place, or like I've got it right now, those folds are going to be off. It's not going to give you a straight line going down the side of your card or your scrapbook layout. And I have an example here. I haven't finished this. This is older. I pulled it out. But if you can see how it's not straight. And the reason it's not straight is because the folds aren't straight. See how it curves? And that's because the folds get off with those folders. So the other thing I want to point out is with these, when you're using these on layouts or even on cards, I highly recommend you do something like this border on the top of it so that it doesn't look so empty. It looks layered like a lot of Anna's things are. So those are my tips. So we had these for quite a while. Then Anna started working with Cricut, and she came out with, at that time, they were called cartridges, and they were, one at a time they were released. Well, when the scoring wheel, the older Cricuts, you use a stylus, and with the newer model, the makers, this is the scoring wheel on it. So the tip, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. This is a lot finer than the tip of this, which is why you can get a much more accurate fold score line with your maker. So then Anna came out with, when this came out, it was launched that she had the scoring wheel tricks image set. By that point, they changed them to image sets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'll show you where we can find that set in Design Space, and talk about a few things that you can do with it. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I'm on the canvas right now. I've already logged in. And so I'm going to minimize. I want to see my layers panel, and I've got things hiding it. So I'm set myself up here. Okay, so where you would find it is over here on the left-hand side, you have images. You open that up, and right here is image sets. This has changed off and on how to find her sets in Design Space. And looking at these images is free to anyone. So you can go in and look what's there and use it however you choose to use it. So these are image sets. And then I want to search in image sets for Anna. And when these first came out, we paid for them. And now if you have a Design Space subscription, these are included for part of that. So the one we want is called Scoring Wheel Tricks. There's a lot here. Yes.
Marie,
Yes.
I typed in Anna and that's not what showed up. Do I have to put Anna Griffin?
No. Did you do image sets?
Yeah, I'm to that place. Yes, I found everything, but it says 6,290 image sets. Tattoo by luminescent ocean animals is the first one.
I think you missed a step, Sharon.
I'm in image sets.
Okay, let me cancel this and I'll do it again. So
can I just say, did you start from your canvas? So I said new project.
Yes.
Canvas.
You're on the canvas.
Images.
Did I have to press new first?
No.
I went to images. Then
okay,
I went
so
to
when you press images, you press images. This did you get this screen?
Yes.
Okay, if you do image sets.
Yes.
And it should up here, you should be able to type in Anna and all of them will show up.
I did.
Go back out and try again.
Oh, it came up.
Okay.
It came up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry to all the time.
Okay, so let me find Scoring Wheel Tricks. Right here, there's 46 images. So if you click on that, there's only like, when you go into image sets, that first line is usually only 5 or 6 images and not all of them appear there. You have to click on it to view all of them. Now this one here should look real familiar to you because it's that one that I showed you with the kind of aqua colored teal paper. So this one's called a box pleat. So I'm going to load this one onto the screen. I'm going to pick a few others here. Let's do this one because this one's called a ribbon fold and it's very similar to one of those embossing folders. If you want to see what they're called, because the embossing folders have names on them, they don't necessarily match what this calls it, inverted box plate. So we'll pick this one because I know that's there. This one's called a drapery fold. If you hover your mouse over it, the name will appear for you. Drapery fold. That's one of them. Let's do, this one's another drapery fold. And as I'm clicking on these, they're appearing down in the bottom line down here. So I know which ones I've picked. This one is different than any of the ones on there, but it's an interesting fold. So I'll pick that one. And I think that's all I'm going to pick for right now. So then once you pick the image.
I'm sorry. What was the last one titled?
This one is called a folded square.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to click add to canvas. And because I picked a few, it's going to take a little bit of time to load these. You can tell it's loading when there's a green line that runs across up here. I probably shouldn't have picked so many. Here they are. Okay. So they load onto your canvas in one group. And if you click over here, you can pull each one of them to the side. So let's look at this one. When I'm looking at images or looking at changing the size of these, I line it up at the X position up here at 1 and 1, so that I know where it's at. If I do anything to this, it'll help me make sure that things are straight afterwards. So what this tells me is that this is 11, almost 11.5 inches wide up here in the size. So what I do and what I recommend, the ones that I've picked, I will tell you what size this folds down into once I'm done showing you the Design Space screen. I'll talk about what size they fold down into, but I cut these out of some scrap paper or whatever so that I can figure out that, this is going to be 7 inches or whatever once it's all folded. And then you can go in, you can't, unless you have a 24-inch mat, you're limited to this 11.5-inch size for one. But the odds are that most likely you don't have paper that's bigger than that anyway because of the 12 by 12. And you're going to want this smaller if you're framing a photo or whatever. You're going to want this smaller, or you want to put it on a card so you can make this smaller. You just need the proportions, and the way to do that is to cut one and fold it up, and then it takes a little bit of math to figure out what size you need. I usually just guesstimate, and close enough is good for me, but there's probably math wizards out there that are better at changing things like that. So once you get these here, you can see the fold where the score lines are. And for somebody that wanted to do this manually, like the old way, what I would do is take this image and increase the screen to like 150% probably. Get me back up to this corner. Or I'll pull it down here. It'll show you, okay, so we've got an inch here. You've got a 1/4 inch here. You have a 1/2 inch here. So that you can go across these and you can figure out how to do this manually or transfer it to some other type of file if you wanted to. Probably not legal to do that, but if these are old designs, they're not unique to Anna. So I know that I did some of these folds manually when I was doing scrapbooking before we had all the technology. And it's hard to figure out, like this one would be harder because of the angle, but you could do something similar where you do like a 1/2 inch here. And this is probably like a 65-degree angle right here. And, you can get your lines in there and do that. Something like this one is harder, or this one. The reason let me go back to 100%. The reason I picked this one is because it's really unique and with what you can do with this one. The other one I missed that I wanted to show you are like the rosettes. Let's add that to the canvas. that was one of the first fancy folds, I would say. It was probably before I knew about Anna that I did these. So you have these up and downs. You can also do this just straight across for a rosette and get your folds at 1/4 inch. And I do have another video on how to fold rosettes and put them together, but they're very effective and I like them. The problem with this one is that in addition to this one, this shape, you need 2 circles, and for some reason it's not here. With her rosettes, so you have to add a circle. The way we would do that is go to shapes, while that's loading, this rosette, to figure out the size of a rosette, what I do is the distance from this height right here is 1.5 inches. So your rosette's going to be 3 inches across, basically, because it folds in and you have the 2 opposite sides meeting in the middle. So it's like a 3-inch rosette. So you just pick a circle. And if you have a 3-inch rosette, you don't want your circle too big. Like this would be way too big. So I would change the size of the circle to probably 1 inch. And you need the circles, and then you duplicate it because you need 2. You need 1 circle on the bottom of the rosette and 1 on the top of the rosette. So now what I want to do is come back to me. I can see you guys, but I can't see me.
There you go.
There, you got it? Okay.
Now,
okay. So let me get back so I can. Okay. Sorry, you guys. This is what I need, is lessons on Zoom. So, okay. So here's what I do is I cut one. You can barely see the scores in there. I cut one and I know that it's 11.5 inches long. Actually I cut 2 at a time. And then this is the folded one. And then I write on one of this one, it's 8 inches. So you start with an 11.5 inch strip and you end up with 8 inches. And the way that this fold goes together is you have mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. And then you just repeat it across. This one is called the box pleat. So, and that one's 8 inches. This one is called the smock. And it's the one with the, you can barely see that. The one that has the lines going out where I talked about angles. Okay, this one's 11.5 inches and the folded one is 9 inches. So that's what this one looks like. And this one is, you do a valley fold, a mountain fold, a valley fold, a mountain fold, and then at the top of it, you do another mountain fold, valley, mountain, valley, and then you just repeat it across. And I just use regular glue on these. Sometimes I like to use hot glue, but regular glue is a little bit more forgiving. And then I have clips. I bought these at the dollar store and they work wonderful for holding things together. I can't remember how many you get. I think it's like 8 or something like that, 6 or 8. but they're very handy for holding things together when you're card making. So those are always there. This one is called just a gather. And I probably should have penciled in these lines so you guys could see them better. So this one is a little bit more tricky to fold, I think, because you have the spaces are a little bit smaller, but it's a valley, a mountain, a valley, a mountain, and a valley. And then for this one, you definitely need something to hold while this is drying. Even if you hot glue, you need something up here to hold these. But it's really pretty on like a scrapbook page. Most of the ones I've done fancy folds on, I've given away. I did them for people and they're gone. And I tell you, that one's 7 7/8 when it's folded. So that's good to know. This next one that I did is called an inverted box pleat. And that's what the fold lines look like on it. So, and then finished, it's like this. And it's valley, mountain, mountain, valley. And you just keep repeating it. This paper, the pink paper, for some reason on these shows lines, which is why I think you should always put something on the top of these, even if it's just a strip of paper, because it makes it look better. That one's really pretty. And it's not that hard to do. This next one is called a ribbon fold. There's that. Not a lot of score lines on this. And it's 11.5 cut, and then folded is 8 inches. But it's really pretty. For a banner at the top. And then if you put some kind of trim up there. And it's valley, mountain, and then mountain, valley, because you have that center pleat. This next one is a diagonal pleat, and it's 11.5 again. And folded, depending upon where you measure it, is either 7 3/4 or 8 inches. So what this one ends up looking like is this, which is, it's kind of dramatic, I think. And this would be good on a card, I think, for the side of it. And you could do a line down there. You have to glue this one the whole way across. So it's valley and mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain to get that. And then that one that I showed you, that's called a drapery fold. And this one only has four of these, whatever you call these, the dips in it. It's 6 3/4 cut, and folded is 5 1/4. But it's pretty. That on the top of a card. Or across the top of a scrapbook page. So it's 5 1/4 folded. So if you had a 12 by 12 scrapbook, so that'd be 10. I would probably just cut 2 of these, maybe even 3, so that you can get the extra going across the whole thing. There is one that has more of these drops in the image set. I didn't cut that other one. This next one is also called a drapery fold. And it's like this. See, the lines go into the lines drop into these peaks down here. This one's 10.5 cut and 5 inches folded. So it's the size of this one really drops down. So this one, what you could do with this one is cut another one, but on the other one, if you flipped your image, and you could go up this side of it, and that would be a dramatic, and then put your journaling box or a caption there. I think that would be pretty too. And this one is just about a mountain valley. It's pretty interesting how you can do mountain valley on and get different looks. That one's really pretty. Get my fingers out. And depending upon how much you use your squish this down, is how much dimension you can leave them out more, or you can score them down to be flatter. I use pretty stiff paper. And then this box pleat, I really wanted to show you guys, our folded square, I guess it's called. It's 3 1/4 cut and 3 1/4 folded, which is kind of interesting. So it's just like this. There's lines that go across the corners. When you do a valley and a mountain on each of those 4, that's an easy cut. And again, for a sentiment or on a card or a journaling box on your scrapbook page, I think that would be really cool. So it's 3 1/4 across. So if you wanted it bigger, you could size it a little bigger. That's the good thing about Design Space, is you can make, when you use your machine, you can make it any size you want it to be. That one's really effective. I did cut, it's hard to show this one. You know those award ribbons? There's those folders. I actually think this one is easier with the folder than it is this way, because you get, put them together here. So you get six of these that it cuts, and they have lines in them. It comes with a little, this is the tail on the award ribbon, and then you get a circle for the top. And when you fold it all together, you get this, which might have a little more dimension than that cut and emboss folder that Anna has. But I'll tell you, I had never cut this one. This was kind of a pain to put together. So it has these mountain folds and valley folds on each piece, but you have to overlap them to get them to go in to there, and then put the circle on the top and the tails. It folds in half, so you get the tails. But maybe, even the tails would be kind of fun to put on something. It's hard to get this one perfect, and I don't feel like I accomplished that. So I wanted to show you that one. And then I talked about the rosettes, and they come out like this. It's 11.5 cut. And this is 3.5 folded. So I do have a video on how I do these. But basically I put the ends I do the mountain and valley folds on it, glue these two ends on so that they overlap, wait for this to dry, then take it this direction on it has to be a slick surface. So I do this on my glass mat, or you can do it on Formica or whatever. On one of the cutting mats, it doesn't slide very well. So then you take it like this and you push it down, and these points will come out so that you get this flat. But you need hot glue is so much better for these, to glue the two circles on to hold it in place. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Any questions? Sharon?
Under my Anna scoring wheel tricks, it says I have to pay $29.99.
Well, they have the purchase price there if you have access. Do you pay for access? No, then the images will cost you, but you can buy by image. You don't have to do the whole thing.
And what is access?
It allows you to all the images that are in Design Space, and it's I can't remember whether, I think it's 110 a year now. It's like or you can pay same as